I'll be looking. On the computer, you have to hit OK. Anyway.
Just turn me on, turn me up, turn me loose.
And we're live. Man, I can't hardly hear anything with all this thunder in the background. Y'all gonna say something?
Boo.
You can't hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Oh, Joe, don't be messing with me. You know my internet. Y'all, if the show ends abruptly, there are severe storms here right now. I'm the one that has the video on my computer. I cannot do it from the phone. If my internet goes down, we will reschedule. But until then, we're just going to hope and pray. And Squirrel's not here, so she can't run it. If it goes down, it goes down. I'm sorry. We'll just have to reschedule. So, hello to everybody that's already in the chat and everything. All the moderators, thank you very much. House, what's up?
Man, living the dream, brother. Living the dream.
Yeah. I bet with all this weather, you're getting calls now, ain't you? Busy, busy, busy.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Been working till about 9 o'clock every night, working on Saturday and staying busy. Oh, yep. Everybody's stuff. That's what happens in Alabama when it gets hot. Everybody's AC units go down.
Mr. Parker, Bud, how are y'all this afternoon?
Just fine.
Doing good.
Well, thank you for being on here. Before we get going, all right, let me tell everybody this. I don't even know which way to start. I'm so excited about this show. And I'll tell you why. This is a different show. So for everybody that watches our channel, you know that we don't try to prove or convince to you that the cryptids exist. Okay, that's a given thing. We actually go out and look for these things. We're some of the few people that really do. That have a YouTube show and actually go out and really look for these things. And with the history of the past several years and all of us getting together and getting to know each other and everything, we have, for in all intents and purposes, formed a big family, a coalition, if you want to. And we talk to each other, and we have camp outs that involve each other. Occasionally we have meet and greets. You know, a lot of us go down to Greg's or Mark Green's or certain spots in Alabama. But we get together, we actually go out and do this stuff. And here's my point. What you're going to see on this show, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. Joe and Bud and Pat, if she wants to, can all speak to this on their own. I'm not trying to put words in their mouth. But me personally, having done this for as long as I have now and looked at as much stuff as I've looked at, I think what you're going to see is some of the most impressive thermal video I've seen that has come out in the past several decades. And there's a lot of reasons why I say that, but let me explain this part, and then I'll try not to ramble on and we'll get into the actual meat of it. What you're going to see today is the brass tacks, bare nuts and bolts of what it takes to actually find some of these creatures and to document it and to record it. And the way that happens is with a lot of diligence and persistence and going to places that are known and trying really hard to figure out the right time of year and the right spot. And I'm not going to say that there's no luck involved. A lot of times there's luck involved with this kind of crap. But you have
really much.
You have to be out there looking for it, though. Then you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared and be ready to go. Then you have to go back and do the due diligence and try to prove that it wasn't just an indigenous animal or something that could be explained away. Now, they have done all of that, but I'm going to tell you what you're going to see. You should consider this a teaching moment. And I'm not trying to preach to anybody, but there is so much you can learn from what they caught. There is something I've got notes front and back of all of the things that I see in this. And we're going to let them talk about how it happened before we actually show the video. We'll go through the video. If this gets going long, we might actually have a separate show, maybe if they want to, where people can bring up their own points or ask their own questions if we don't get to all of it. But anyway, I've ran on enough. Guys, first of all, I can't imagine that anybody in our group doesn't know Joe and Pat and Bud.
And Angie.
And Angie. Was Angie there with y'all?
Yeah, but she was, tell her, Bud.
She was back at the cabin. She got car sick. She was riding in the back of a small truck.
Okay.
So she was laying down when Joe said, "Hey, let's go out and use these instruments."
Damn, the one time she got car sick and y'all hit this.
Oh,
All right. Well, anyway, if you don't know them, I mean, they're easy enough to find and talk to and everything. But let's get on with this because this is just, I can't stand it. It's just so damn impressive. We've got to get going with it. How, when, why, where? How did you decide? How did it happen? Why did you decide to go there? At what time? How did all of this come about?
That's you, Joe.
You sure?
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, Bud, it's all Bud's fault. He gets a call from one of his good friends that we know and friends with too, inviting us to a outing at LBL they was going to have with another group. I'm going to let Bud discuss that if he wants to. Not, we just leave it out. But anyway, so we said, sure. Let's just see if everybody else wants to go that we normally go to Flat Rocks with. And also Jody, Bud, Angie, me and Pat, Stephen and his wife, what's her name? Jennifer. And Flat Rock couldn't go, of all people. He normally always goes with us. And we all got a cabin. And so me and Pat leaves early, so we get outside of Memphis, and Bud gets a phone call, calls us, says, look, they done cancel that because we have these uncommonly storm with big hail warnings, 100-mile-an-hour winds warnings, and it's coming down south, and it's going to go from, like from Dallas all the way down to Florida, down the coast, and right to the mid-United States too. So I get to the room and outside of, in West Memphis is where it was, and I called everybody was in our chat and said, look, if y'all want to call this off, let's just call it off because we'll go back home. And nobody wanted to. So we pressed on. And if this is how this thing plays out, if we'd have had the actual meet and greet, we probably wouldn't have went looking. But we was on our own at this point. And we was able to do the extra riding and looking at the woods and trying to find different things. Everything had to work. It was a funny way things went together. And it just went on from there. It's just like we kind of give out from driving 10 hours up there. So we drove and went out Friday when we got there. We drove around to some of the chosen places. The lake was down. We looked on the sandbars and things for tracks where people reported them. We went around and drove some fields and things around the place. And we, of course, it's still daylight, so we're not thermaling. And then that night came, and we got to go thermal a few hours with other couple was there. Bud and Angie hadn't made it. So about around between 12 or 11 or 12,
Yeah.
they're trying to come in from north of LBL, where they come in from the Louisville area. And there's a tree across the road going in into where we was going to be at. So we went up there, and I had a little limb saw, so I cut up the top out of the tree and broke it off. And then Bud drove his brand new car around the ditch kind of thing and got into, so we were able to get to the camp. Next day, it got rough that night. So we all parked under every shed at the place. Everything we could find to park under, get out of that hail. So we didn't know. We all parked under barns and
Shelters.
just all kind of everything we could find. And so we did that. And it didn't get bad, we don't think. That night we was sleeping and nobody got woke up or nothing. And it pushed on through part of it. It was still blowing, but it wasn't really bad. So we was able to get out the next day and make rounds, looking and stuff. Then we went up to Grand Rivers that evening to get a bite. When we come out of there, it was about 8:30, 9 o'clock. We got back to the camp or to the cabin, and it's our last night there. I'm tired. I really don't want to go, but if we don't go now, we ain't gonna get a chance. So we got to go. So I had a new thermal I wanted to show Bud, let him look at it, and we wanted to get out and take a look at things. So we split up in 2 vehicles, 3 in each one. Miss Angie was already sick from riding before. She stayed back, and there we go, 10 miles an hour, just driving slow. I'm driving, Pat's riding behind me thermal, and Bud's in the shotgun seat. And the other group's behind us, and they go somewhere, and we get split up a little bit. And so away we go. Seen all kind of game. I mean, it was game everywhere when we was out. So this is the reason why I came in this area from a while back. Is because we reconned this during the LBL outing, and it had a lot of game in there. Everywhere we went was deer and stuff along this area. And so we went back in that same area that night thinking, well, if we're going to thermal up something, maybe we'll get to see something in this area if we're going to see anything. Now, normally we just see regular game. You know, cryptids it's a bonus to see anything cryptid. It's not what you normally see. And if you go out every day seeing them, you're way better than any of us. And so there we go. And Miss Pat, she's running the camera, and lo and behold, Buddy ran a little. Buddy ran his night vision a little. And we're looking at all kind of things. And Pat gets the camera back. We're going along, collecting along there, and we get this vertical big subject. And it looks like it's split between the trees, the signature. And we see it on I want to say this, my cell phone, I got the camera Wi-Fi right to the cell phone. So me and Bud's looking on my dash at whatever we're seeing. And then I adjust the zoom, the brightness, all on my phone. She's just got to hold it on the target, basically. And we're good to go. And it's an actual AGM rifle scope, but it has audio, video, and it's Wi-Fi to your phone. Or a tablet if you had a tablet, if it's got a signal and all. And so that's the way we're running it, so we all can see what's going on. It ain't just a guy running the camera. Everybody sees what's going on. Well, we see the signature. Bud sees it. I see it at the same time. And she says, I got something. So we pull on up there. So what are you seeing, Bud, at this time? We pull up there, and it's just like there's something out there, but you really can't tell much. So what are you seeing? What are you thinking at this time?
Well, at the very beginning, when we came around that curve, Pat said she got something, and we seen it on the phone, and it didn't really have a real good heat signature at first, you know, but we could tell it was moving, and then it almost looked like it went from a heat signature to trying to, I don't know, to almost no heat, you know, low heat signature. I mean, you really couldn't tell the shape until after it moved again, and it was almost like it seen the car coming on the roads. It figured it'd just stand still and let us go by. Because the way I see it, I don't think it knows that we seen it, that we could see it. Because we didn't have anything that projected IR. We didn't have no spotlights or nothing like that to shine on him or nothing like that. So the way I see it, that thing didn't know we was watching him. So
Well, Bud called it right off the bat. We
Yeah.
asked him, how far is it? He said it's about 70 yards from the truck.
Yeah.
Well, we reconned it. We went back a month later. 70 yards is no way you had any ambient light unless it was a mile away and you just happen to make a curve. You know how you see somebody's lights do that. There's no ambient light out there. It didn't know that we could see it out evidently.
Yeah,
And,
Joe didn't
you
turn
know,
it to put the lights on it or nothing. We just stopped on the road and filmed out the window. So.
She just sitting there holding it out the window.
Yeah.
And what Spencer's finna play, if God willing, it don't go crazy, he's finna play the original stop when we stop the truck. And what it does is hunkered down kind of like his back to us. It goes from being almost like real vague to see it at all. You could have easily drove by it and never even caught it. And that was what really got me right off the bat on that part of it was, no wonder you don't see these things. But when it turns, you'll see it's tremendously different. It's like a turtle is from the underbelly of a turtle to the back of it. It's just like that. I mean, when she turns around, all the inner bodies of it's all exposed with heat signature. Well, the back was like it could have been behind some brush, but it never really. It just wasn't showing the same heat coming out the back and the shoulders and stuff when it was turned to us. I mean, turned backwards to us.
Yeah.
Let's play the first video clip and then we'll pause.
It'll be a good.
All right, guys, this is and like he just made the point, pay attention to whenever they're first now getting there and looking at this thing, pay attention to how it tries to avoid being seen. And then it's almost like it realizes, hey, I think they're looking at me. Just
That's the way it felt.
Here we go.
Start recording.
It's not a very good heat signature right there.
No, we could have easily passed it up. The trees was giving out as much as that.
Well, the thing that really helped us was we came around that curve, Pat said, hey, I see something moving. But it wasn't real good heat signature, so we just stopped and this is what we got.
And boom.
It turns and steps down that bank or the hill or whatever. There's not no hill there. There's a bank by a bank or something there. And it turns and steps in it is still hiding behind a limb. And then Spencer points out, and we all point out, damn, it looks like it's got ears.
Yeah.
And a muzzle.
20 ears. Yep. Yeah, 20 ears in the snout is what it looks like.
And it also looks like it's kind of bowed up at you. If you know, with the head back and the chest out, it takes that look to it.
Yeah.
And you'll notice in the left top corner, we're at full power digital zoom. And of course, that's probably the end of that clip, and we're going in and out. We were trying to get it a lot closer, but the closer you get with digital, the worse off the distortion gets.
Yeah.
That's at 8 power. It just changed to 8 because she's asked me zooming in a little bit. And
yeah, the weather conditions could have a lot to do with that too, Joe.
that's true.
It was sprinkling and some fog in places and stuff like that. So
what you see is gray in that whole picture, like it's a gray line, and it's like that's all that moisture difference.
Yeah,
most of that's not clear because there's moisture in there.
Before we go any further on that, so you guys are looking at the phone, right?
Yeah,
and
right.
Pat's got the thermal out the window, looking at it,
right?
And so whenever you saw it actually turn and face towards you,
that's basically what you're seeing on the AGM.
Yeah,
that links up the little red deal there. It links up to the camera. The middle's got footage in it, which is the media part, and the other's something else I can't read right now. But that's basically what you're looking at, and that goes on there. And I just take it and put it in the cradle up on my dash, and that's playing this. It looks like the same thing as your eyepiece does, and it shows it Wi-Fi to the actual deal.
I
But
think that most all of the AGMs connect to the. I know mine does, and Anthony's does. Of course, you've got the rifle scope. You've got the Rattler, which is it's a dual purpose. It's a
V2. It's a
yeah,
V2.
it's a scope
Mhm.
plus it's a handheld. And for those of you that don't
Yep.
know, the Rattler, it's a fairly expensive little piece of hardware. It's very nice. It's got a what's the specs on it? Is it a
It's a
350?
225 by 384. That's
Yeah,
the.
resolution. Yeah.
It's a Rattler V2, which is a little different than the V1. The selling points was it would link to a phone. That was what I was looking for when I seen Spencer's and Pat Rants and Buds, and everybody had a AGM product, could link it right to their phone and work with it that way. The simple unit I had was not do that, and that was one of the selling points for us, as well as I could use it with double duty for putting it on a gun if I want to. It had a cantilever field to put it on a 50-10 rail.
Yeah, it's got the quick lock on it, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So if y'all were looking at this on the phone and Pat's filming it out the window, you're 70 yards away. I would imagine that you can't see it with your naked eye at 70 yards away at night. I do think I'm fairly positive that all of the thermals project a IR beam. I mean, FLIR stands for forward-looking infrared. I think that they use an IR beam, but don't quote me on that. I'm pretty sure. If you're looking at it on the phone, when it turned around and you could actually see what we just saw, hold on, let's throw it back up. If you actually see that right there. Now, at one point, it was zoomed in a little bit further, and wait till y'all see the rest of the dang videos. It gets better. It gets a lot better. But
we was told by an experienced person that this creature could see at night just as good as he could see during the day. And if we were looking out there and it did have a little LED infrared dot coming, that was probably seeable by a lot of different things. But that thing could see actually the glass, the whole thing. It didn't know we didn't have a barrel sticking underneath it to shoot it.
That's
if
right.
we was poachers. It didn't know that because we actually had the same damn thing you would have had if you'd have been a poacher. You'd have had this type of deal or one like it. And if that would have been somebody looking back at you and knew these parameters going on or whatever, I don't think I would have stayed around there peeking around the woods if I'd have been somebody.
That's
go ahead, Spencer.
We're going to get to that part because I'm going to point out some things that are obvious. Well, we can all point out things that are obvious about why this is probably not a person. But hold on, before we even get that far into it, when you saw that, whenever you see that, now I understand that in the moment, and especially looking at a little tiny phone screen, you might not have been going, I think it's got pointy ears and a muzzle. But you see the thing, okay, so your car stops. If it was behind the tree, waiting for you guys to go by, you guys see it, the car stops. At that point, you would think, whether it's a person or a cryptid, you would think it goes, uh-oh, maybe they're looking at me, maybe they see me. You got one of the windows down, you're talking, she's pointing possibly an IR beam over there, but definitely pointing a scope over there. This thing turns around and stands like that. At what point did you go, shit, I think that is something, not just, it's not a bear, it's not a deer. At what point did you go, whenever you saw that right there, did it cross your mind, damn, I think we got something?
I thought so.
I know the first time I thought we might have something out of the ordinary was when we first came around the curve and Pat said we got something. We're watching on the phone and I really couldn't make out. I could see a heat signature, but you really couldn't make out what it was until the thing squared up at us. Once it squared up at us and I could see the shape, and I'm like, well, it's at least a humanoid shape. So, but we really couldn't tell yet. I mean, it did move, but it moved real slow and cautiously and thought out, movements. But once it squared up, when I said, "Oh, it's either an idiot out there this time of night, or we got, it might be something
Well,
you need to check out."
since Joe
My,
already,
my exact words, Spencer, if this baby ain't got tennis shoes on, we got something.
well,
And that's the way I said it. I know it sounds funny, but I'm thinking it's either going to be one or two things at this time of night in this rain. And logically thinking, it's either one or the other.
Yeah.
And the other could be different kinds, but it's like, it's just what it is. I mean, if it ain't nobody, you got something ain't supposed to be there.
so after these severe storms, and like Bud pointed out the other night on Jessica's show, and it's a really valid point. If you know anything about hunting, a lot of the times the animals will hunker down under like evergreens or cedars or whatnot, and they'll stay out of the weather, and sometimes they'll stay there for 2-3 days, even in like a heavy snow or anything. And then whenever the storm system moves on, they come out and they're grazing, they're feeding. So it would make sense that, number one, it would make sense that, hey, maybe this thing is out looking for a meal, maybe, whatever, but it's a time for it to move. But after these storms, so imagine being a person, and I got news for you. If y'all have not seen the video yet, some of you have, but a lot of you have not. There's most likely more than one. There looks to be a few. We'll get to that part of the video here in a minute. But imagine being at LBL, which is like absolutely infested with snakes and all kinds of stuff. But in the rain at night. What time was this? Midnight, 1 in the morning?
No, it's on the signature. It's 12. Yeah. I mean, it's 10. I think 10 something, 10:14 at that time. It's on the signature on the top of the picture.
10 o'clock at night. The chances of one or multiple people being in the woods, just in the middle of the woods, 70 yards off the road, downward where it's wet, out there with no lights, no nothing. If a vehicle stops, I mean, you got to be. I know, like Mark Green said, I'd be like, hell, I'd be worried somebody was going to shoot me or something. Yeah. Maybe a I'd be saying something, or I'd be hiding behind a tree. This thing did hide behind a tree, and then it comes out and squares up with y'all. It just, all of that does not sound right for a person. It sounds right for a cryptid. Can we play the next video section, Joe?
That's fine, Spencer. I'm just going to say a couple more things about it. We're sitting there looking at this thing. It makes this turn, and I don't know. We got like 10 minutes on the first part of it. Then I stopped it for whatever reason. And we went right back to filming for another 6. And it constantly does different things reacting to what we're doing, kind of. And go ahead and play your other part, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Yeah, this here's where it squares up at us real good, I think.
She's showing a side view or something there.
It's a side view, I think, yeah.
The outline's materializing right there. You can kind of see the outline of it materializing.
Yeah, one thing I'd like to stress, Spencer, is we just had a tornado-warned storm go by about an hour and a half before this, and then there was another one on the way about 2. They said between 2 and 3 o'clock was coming. So we just got lucky as heck, and right in between that gap, all the animals came out, everything came out, and we just got lucky.
I definitely think that you were lucky, but I also think, at the same time, we all know about LBL, and we've all gone through this process before of we find an area, we start looking for a sign, we do vocals, we do calls and everything. We're driving through there. We're looking with the thermals. You know, you got multiple people looking in different directions. You guys you did. Yes, there was luck involved. I mean, no doubt. But you were doing all of the right things. And then even more impressive, you went back. That's a big part, but we'll talk about that whenever it's over. So on that clip right there, I think that's the end of that one. Yeah, it is.
It's either end or close to the end clip too.
Yeah,
Can I see the start of the end clip in that thing?
Well, that's a third clip, and I'm going to pause before we show that one. So
would it be fair? Go ahead.
No, go ahead. It's your video.
I was going to say, would it be fair to point out some obvious reference points to look at, because this thing goes so fast, and some of this stuff was pointed out to us when we were showing it off to people in the RV over the weekend. There was a signature. The main signature is behind the tree at some kind of angle right there. To the left of it, about an inch by what my screen has, is a little white signature on the ground, almost looks like to it. And then to the right, about a half an inch and down a little bit, it's another upright signature. It's very vague. Both of them is very vague compared to the middle one that really showed itself. But that's 3 points of interest you need to kind of look for. It's going to happen fast. When it's slowed down immensely, you can see it even better. But you're finna have 3 points of interest change position here when he gets to play the film. And it's going to happen. Especially picked it out the first time he ever saw it, how fast and how smooth and going down a wet hill and all these things. The conditions and all was, been 10 hours, 24 hours of rain. And this thing's maneuvering like he's just, whatever it is not even having a bit of trouble. And what it's got with it ain't having a bit of trouble to get around either. Some of the creatures never break cover no more than they have to. And that one particular, I couldn't figure out for the longest why did it come downhill, because it's naturally something like that you would thought would have moved off behind cover and moved off away from us. But it came down the hill slightly, and then it picks up something, and then it goes on. Not literally picks it up, but it actually has a reason to come down the hill. And then they slide off to the tree on the right, and that tree on the right has multiple white exit points. If you're looking close, you can subject see anything leaving that big tree. Like there was a place for them to hide between us and the truck and them. And so they sliding up behind that tree. Then it's all of a sudden they're taking off at 45s or right angles from that tree, and they're getting out of there. You'll see them. I mean, it's quick, but you'll see it. Go ahead, mention whatever you want to get into.
Well, before we do, a couple things. Keep in mind, this is approximate. This is almost 15 minutes after they started filming from when they pulled over. So again, if it was a person or multiple people out there, they're out there in these conditions at night in the dark, no lights, could have stepped on a snake at any point, but moving, it takes them 15 minutes. They're hiding behind the tree, then peek out, hide behind the tree, peek out. Then it goes, you're going to see it move here in a minute, and pay attention to the way it moves, because that's what gives the game away. But
Spencer, let me say one thing. If that thing was hiding back there, obviously it's got it behind the tree. But if there's leaves between where Joe and Bud and everybody was in that thing, that thermal's going to pick up through those leaves if it's light leaf cover. Now, like us looking through looking with your eyes, you can't see through leaves. But that thermal will actually see through it to an extent. So that thing probably felt more secure where it was, because, it's not really thinking that they got something they can see through the leaves with.
This is
That's a good point, Greg. Very good point.
It's on a hill. It's going to move downhill. Watch how fluid it moves. And I'm going to point this out too. I don't have any way to clearly show you this. I can't do the thinker thunker thing. But let me explain that from 70 yards away, this is zoomed out. It's probably got a minimum of a one-time magnification, or maybe even 2. I don't know, Joe.
Mhm.
But at 70
I think
yards
it's a 2.
away, it's 2 times base mag.
Mhm.
At
That's just a
70
2.
yards away, what you're looking at, it's up on a slope. It's going to move downhill. That tree that it's going to move to, that is a big tree. They've been out there in the daylight. They've redone this stuff. We'll talk about that in a minute. Watch how fluidly and watch how few steps it takes. That tree is probably just a guesstimate, but from where it is to the big tree that it moves to is probably 15 yards, maybe it's 10, something like that.
Well,
Watch how few steps it takes, and watch how fluidly it moves. What was that, 5 steps or so?
it wasn't much, and it was quick. I'm sure you can't see what we're seeing unless you know where you're looking. And I wish you had a way to take a pointer or something on your side of the film. And I don't know if you can.
I can't.
And play this, and I don't know if there's any way for you to put a cursor on the different spots, but it moves fast. So nobody could do it justice for anybody like we were showing y'all over the tablet to tablet thing until you sit down there inside the camper or something. I got some slowed down stuff that it's not really, but it's there. It's doing things.
And getting back to what you said, Spencer, where we believe he was at right there is on the bank of a creek, and it's a 3 to 4 foot step down, and then back up to where we believe he was at right there. I mean, and you didn't see him jump or fall.
No.
He just gracefully right through it.
Now, Bud goes off in the creek when we're doing a damn recon. He's 6'2", I'm 6'2", and he disappears from ground level, standing back away from the creek. When he walks off in the creek, his total body's disappeared behind the land. That's how much fall it's got. And it's got them, where it's spoil banks has been made over the years and stuff. And that thing's across the creek, best we could determine the way it goes downhill.
Yeah.
It's across the creek,
Yeah.
approximately 70, 75 yards away. And it goes at an angle toward the secondary creature, which it's very hard to see. It took me months to see some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it just one day I just happened to slowed it down a little bit. I said, "That's 2 sets of legs walking off." I see it now.
And another thing, Spencer's where we believe he was at, he was in front of a creek, but there's also a creek coming, made a T. And where we believe he was at, I mean, that creek was raging that night. They'd had 2 days of rain and still more storms on the way. I mean, it wasn't no little light creek or nothing you could wade through. This thing was moving pretty good. And it's all rock. The creek's all rock.
Well, the fact that it's a creek, it moved so fluidly. It didn't stop.
Yeah.
It didn't stumble. It didn't jump. It didn't do anything. It just took big steps.
Yeah.
And got behind that other tree. But like what Joe was saying, where you got down in the creek and couldn't see you.
Yeah.
And you're what, 6 foot, 6'1"?
2. He's 6'2".
6'2", couldn't see you. You can see this thing.
Yeah.
You can see it as it goes. Whatever it is. I mean, I've got my opinions about it. This is just my own opinion. They're not claiming anything, but I don't think there's any doubt what we're looking at here. Now, whether or not it's a booger versus a dog man, I tend to think it's a dog man. I'll show you why here in 1 minute whenever we get to the pictures. But this right here, the way that it moves, guys, look at that one more time. Look at the way that it moves. Look at how fluid this thing moves downhill at night, no lights, crossing a creek, wet grass. boom, 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 boom.
Shit ain't very many steps at all.
No, it's not. And it covered some territory. And that's a decent sized tree. Then it disappears behind the tree. You can kind of see little, like, vague heat signatures there, like right there, but it was really quick.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of the still shots. This is the one that's far away. That's closer.
That gives you a real good idea of what. I mean, that head figure, every frame seemed like it changed slightly.
Yeah.
But it all came back to the same thing when it's all said and done. It looks like it has a snout. It looks like it's got an ear sticking up. And you just can't see the one on the right-hand side, it looking toward us. You just can't really see it that good in that picture. But you can't deny seeing the one on his left-hand side.
Yeah.
In the eye socket area, whatever that dark spot is there.
Well,
I mean,
the other. Okay, so I took the liberty. This is because it's hard to see on the computer. This is with the contrast really blown out, but what it does is it shows you the overall shape of the heat signature. So even though that's not as clear, you can get a better definition of, like, I mean, clearly what looks like a head with ears, a muzzle, shoulders. It looks like it's carrying something. There have been
just
people
like his arm stuck up like that. That's the reason why Bill Irvin's drawing or painting made that her what they were pushing in their site was that picture that you just got right there. You don't see it as good as Spencer does that little bit of boost on it, but that's what they were saying they were seeing. I couldn't see that way, not without a boost on it. I did. Well, many times I looked at it. If I wasn't sure what I was seeing, I just know if I went back to the end of it, I could make out three signatures moving. I don't know if everybody got to in that quick clip, but if you slow it down, and in the future we'll probably get some more clips out. Maybe you can see a little better. They won't be any clearer, but you'll be slowed down to where you can divide the movement a little bit. And once you do that, it's no denying it's three things moving off at the same time at the end. This could be what they say it is in the painting and in their interpretation. I didn't really like interpretation drawings because it's able to be all four of us will never have the same thing probably because we all gonna have a little different. Just like reading the Bible's got different interpretations.
Well, that's right, but I don't think at the end of the day people can argue about the details. Like, for example, Justin saying, "Is it carrying a baby?" Some people have suggested that. Who's to say it's not carrying a deer or a dog or something like that? Either way, though, no matter which way you cut it, you just saw something very large cover sloped ground at night in the dark, move the way it did. You saw it whenever it first started and it was hiding behind the tree and it bowed up. This is as zoomed in as you're going to get. Anything beyond this level is just going to hurt it more. And I'll say this, here's something that they haven't talked about. They chose to allow everyone to see the original footage without it being altered, stabilized. And the reason for that is because if you've done this for a while, you know that people are going to attack you and say you've already manipulated the film and everything. They have done everything that they could possibly do to try and, prove that it wasn't a cryptid, and everything points to it probably is. And I mean, look at that picture, guys. Is there somebody out there that's 7 foot tall that got two idiot friends to join them in the middle of the night?
That's me at 70 yards, Spencer.
Yep.
That's Bud at 50. That's me at 70. If you look real close, I'm holding my phone in my hand. It'll be a square object in my hand. I got a ball cap on. The ball cap's got a roundness in my head. My shoulders come out. I have no hair display. Everything about my heat's one color. It's no differential or nothing. Now in a closer picture, maybe even the Bud shot, he may have a few spots is warm instead of real hot or cooler. And you can see a little, the closer you can get to that thing, you can define it more. But this here, I wanted to get to Spencer, but I just didn't know how to do it. I struggled to try to get it to him. But that's me at 70 yards across that creek.
Yeah.
And just sit behind the tree on purpose because we thought it was, that thing come across his collarbone area. I did all that trying to mimic best I could what I had. And I'm actually taking the pictures with my phone in my hand through the thermals is 70 yards away at the truck because she's trying to get down, like hanging out the window to show that reference. When you go to a main screen and take off the other, the people in the audience will see a little better.
Yeah.
If you could do that,
Yeah.
they'll be able to see a little better that's my outline as opposed to that thing's outline.
Yeah, that there's one thing I'd like to point out, Spencer, on that picture you had up. For everybody that ain't real familiar with thermals, it was sprinkling that night, and the darker spots on that body is probably from just the sprinkles. You can see the hotter spots, but the darker spots is from.
There's no rain that day. This was done. No rain.
Not that one there. Not that one there, Joe. That one.
No. I know what you're saying, bud. Yeah. Go ahead, Spencer.
It could also be if you look at thermals of like birds, because their feathers loft and trap the heat, their body will be. It won't show as bright as like their head or their feet. The same way with a bear. If you look at thermals of a bear, their head, because the fur on a bear is shorter on its head and at its ears, but like on its back, it won't be as bright because it's got that hair there blocking, trapping in some of the heat. Like you said, it could be fur or it could be hair. It also could be like what you were saying where it was wet. Maybe it was a lot wet. Maybe the hair is longer on the body and it takes a lot longer for the hair to dry, and that's wet, and the hair on top of the head is very short and dries quicker, and that's why you're getting the heat displacement. Now, whatever this is down here, if it's carrying something, again, like if you've ever looked at like a deer on a thermal, because they have very short hair, you tend to see them like the picture of Joe, where it's just one solid heat signature.
That's most every time too, Spencer. We get the same thing you're talking about. The hair thickness and all on a game animal all shows the same brightness. Even the horns will show it. They might be in blood yet. We had alligators show up just for the summer heat in the bar pits at home over here down the river, and their image would show up too, just because they got out there in that heat during the day and their blood was soaking it up, and it would show a differential of. And there's cold-blooded creatures, but it didn't matter because they were starting to warm up during that time of the year.
Let me ask y'all a couple questions. A couple points that I wrote down, and just get your thoughts on them. And Pat, if you can hear me, feel free to weigh in on this, Pat. But first of all, it was late at night. It was a known area. It was after a storm. Like I said, because of after the storm, or like Bud pointed out, the game animals move. I'm trying to go in a direction of questions as far as what are your overall thoughts on why you think it was there, and what do you think it was doing? Just a guess.
All right, Bud, you want to start with that one?
Well, some people say that they believe it's female, so maybe the female had pups or youngins, whatever you call them. Maybe they had them out down at the creek getting some water, and the males were out hunting right after the storm. I mean, you're going to have deadfall or widow makers, they call them, that kill a lot of animals during storms. So maybe they was out hunting, and people said, well, why don't you think it didn't attack you? Maybe that was it. I mean, it felt safe across that creek. Like I said, that creek was raging pretty good. So if it was a female with youngins, of course it's going to be cautious. It's going to watch us, keep an eye on us. But I don't think she'd leave her youngins, just to leave them by themselves to come and get us. You know, maybe the males were off hunting. So,
I see a person or a creature that has.
you know, that's just a quick top of my head guess. So.
Right.
I agree with Bud about a lot of what he's saying. I just believe it's a superior brain creature where it's got responsibility first. Most times when you're dealing with stuff, they either go fight or flight, as you say. That's most things, you know. That's just where they live and survive. And a lot of things, you back them in a corner or fight. But if they got a choice, they'd rather not be bummed up and trying to live.
Right.
Because if they get shot and they got a nurse wound, you ain't gonna catch many deer with a broke leg or any of that junk. It's a death sentence to go down like that.
Yeah.
Now I'm seeing at the end of it and the whole picture of it, I can't see that thing that's claiming hanging in its lap. Now what my mind tells me I'm seeing, as far as that picture that you just had on there, is like you see these kids and they're toddlers and all, and they get all loose bodied and stuff, and you're trying to hold them steady somewhere at Walmart or something, and they, instead of doing what you tell them to do, they're trying to get away from you at all costs, and they just go slinky down, and they all doing this crap like this, and they all trying to slide out the floor and get away, and you trying not to kill one of them before somebody sees you do it. And that's what you see in that to me. It's like she's got management issues with her responsibilities she's got. That can be totally off the page with that, but that's just what I'm looking at that part of it. But the one on the ground is getting.
I don't know about you, Joe, but that's an ass whipping coming for me.
Well, the one they got on the ground there's half her size. That's her responsibility too. She couldn't just jump and run like most of them would have done and get out of there with it. You'd have had a 1 minute picture instead of a 16-minute picture. You just had so much on her plate at that time.
One thing that stands out, at least I know this as far as boogers go, and I'm not the one that thought of this. Someone else pointed it out to me, but sure enough, it is the case. If you go out looking for boogers in daytime and you start to get into their area, a lot of times, I mean, those of us that have done this, we know a lot of times you'll hear a whistle or maybe a whoop or a branch break. But if you keep getting closer, that's whenever you start getting the growls or the rocks thrown, sticks thrown, stuff like that. But here's the thing. The terrain that they pick, like especially if they're hiding out during the day, if you're going in to find them, the terrain that they pick, a lot of times, it'll be like where you have to cross a creek or you have to climb up a fairly steep embankment to get to them. That buys them time, in my opinion, to get away. It's a natural delay for a person to get to them. And I think that distance in that creek, I think maybe it gave her a little bit of feeling of, okay, well, you know, now Bud, you actually talked on the other show. There was a point where you got out and tried to walk towards it.
Yeah, just like we're talking about here, we don't really know what it was. Since I've gotten into this, I just get so aggravated because I've always told Angie, said, hey, if we see what we think is a Bigfoot or dog, any kind of cryptid, I said, I'm going to push my cojones back down where they belong, and I'm going to go at him, and I'm going to be filming, and I want you to film me on the way there. And because I mean, I actually got out of the truck because the thing stopped for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, didn't move or nothing. And I asked Pat, I said, hey, Pat, give me that thermal. I'm going to go at him. Well, you know, we was planning on just driving around all night. So I had on my little house shoe slippers, and we wasn't planning on getting out because it was just way too bad. Well, I told Pat, so give me that thermal. I'm going to go at him. I'm either going to get attacked, he's going to flush, take off, or I'm going to find out it's a daggone stump. So I got out, took 3 or 4 steps in that field, and that last step, I sunk clear to my ankles in mud. And so but as I was going at him, he actually turned towards me. Yeah, well, he, whatever it was, it actually squared up at me, and I felt bad about getting back in Joe's truck. So I had to clean all my shoes.
It'd have felt a lot worse. You could have made it out there. I promise you.
Yeah, that
my opinion.
I mean, yeah, I'm probably putting myself in harm's way, but I'm just, I get, like you guys have said about these red circles. Well, before I give you a red circle, I'm going at them. So
How far did you get from the truck? How far did you manage to make
probably
it?
20 feet, probably not even that far, 15, 20 feet. Like I said, I took 3 or 4 steps.
Three good steps, maybe.
Yeah.
It wasn't too far.
Yeah.
It's a good thing he didn't make it very far.
Yeah, that's what everybody's telling me. Man, I'm glad you didn't make it. I'm like, well, I'm so tired of arguing what what it is or what it ain't. Or
I agree with your logic, but all I know is anybody that goes with Bud, take an extra camera and just film Bud, because if he does get 8, at least it won't be in vain. We'll have some video of it.
Well, most of the time I've got some, like Greg would understand that. There's usually we used to call him God protecting our 6, So I'd have a God back there protecting me just in case, but we didn't.
I don't. When you talk about multiple creatures, now in your logic, if you got a gun, maybe you can take one of them that's attacking you out. But what are you going to do with the other 3?
Well,
and if they get close enough, they're like a deer. House will tell you himself, he shot a deer multiple times and killing spots, and he still kept right coming. Or going.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. I better clarify.
It wouldn't been it would be a bad day.
I ain't for killing or going hunting out for them, to kill them.
And I ain't about killing one just for put it on the slab for somebody to dismiss it as a damn coyote either. That's beyond
somebody with me. I'm extra cautious. There's things I won't do if Angie's with me. I'm extra cautious. I ain't just flat out balls to the wall, throw everything out the window and go at them. But, I try to calculate and plan ahead.
Let's you bring up the thing about a gun. Now, I'm assuming that y'all had something in the truck, but it's not like you were standing at really.
We was on government land. We can't do that.
Yeah, okay. But
what we had wouldn't have done any good anyway. So.
But my point is, it's not like you were out there pointing a weapon at it.
No.
Now, you did have a scope, but you weren't pointing a weapon at it. I think Go ahead.
I said, did you know any laws, and I don't know of any laws about pointing any kind of thermal at any kind of game in the woods, like they want to say, if you bring a spotlight out of the window in Louisiana, they go into ballistic. You're doing this and you're doing that. Regardless you got a gun or not, you're going to get a ticket, if not worse, on public roads especially. It don't matter, but it gets worse. The tickets just roll up, the worse off you get. As far as we know, people, there is no law about thermals yet looking at creatures because you're really not affecting them.
I don't think so. There are with the spotlights.
As far as I know, I don't know of it, if it is. They might have to ask Greg on that one. He's the closest to the law as what we got. You ever heard anything like that?
I don't. Well, now if you were using a thermal and you had a weapon, would probably be like trying to take game. Like if that had been mounted on a rifle and you had.
Well, I understand that.
Yeah, but like in Alabama, if you're shining a spotlight, it's game harassment. You're interrupting those.
We got the same kind of law,
right?
Yeah.
Now, before I graduated high school, me and buddies used to go out back roads and spotlight deer and just see where they're moving to and from, so we know which farm to try to hunt the next day. And we got pulled over by a game warden, and he actually searched our truck and all, and told us that we are not allowed to spotlight or even alter your car headlights to light them up. He let us off with a warning, but he said he could have gave us the ticket, and he did search our truck, to make sure we didn't have any weapons.
Yeah.
But he let us off with a warning.
It's good to know, but if you're driving, we're going to LBL and places like that to look for boogers and stuff. We're driving around looking out the damn window with a thermal or night vision or a flashlight or something. It's one of those things you risk. I think it was really interesting going back to the video that you guys had 15, 16 minutes there and it didn't flee. Because if it was any other animal in that amount of time with you standing there, it wouldn't have just remained motionless behind that tree. It would have in some way, shape, or form. If it was a deer, eventually it would have walked off or it would have kept on moving. It's obviously not a deer, but I'm just saying, if it was for a person to wait 15, 16 minutes, multiple people to wait 15, 16 minutes at night in that conditions, that just doesn't make sense. But it does make sense, again, talking about boogers and other stuff, where they move very calculated and very slow, and where they will just freeze and hold still for a long time.
I
So
think that's their biggest defense, or
well,
whatever.
and that goes into, oh, get ready, dun, 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 dun. We're gonna blow out the woo thing here. If there was any disappearing, teleporting, going into a portal, mind speaking to send someone away, zapping them with infrared or infrasound, not saying that the stuff can't exist, but simply saying whatever this was, it stayed there for 16 minutes. It didn't jump in a portal. It didn't do the predator thing.
Nobody felt sick or batteries didn't drop or any of that stuff that it can happen.
You have to admit it could be because of the distance. The infrasound thing, I've seen weird stuff that I can't explain other than maybe they can do the infrasound thing or manipulate energy. I'm just saying this thing, it didn't step into a portal. It didn't disappear. It didn't do the cloaking thing. It held its ground for 15, 16 minutes, just like a regular living, breathing, flesh and blood biological creature. And when it went to move, it moved. Big steps, smooth, fast, fluid.
Yeah, the only thing weird about the whole situation is why did we leave? We were sitting there filming this thing, and I just don't know why we left. I know we probably watched it for half an hour, even though we only filmed it 16, 17 minutes.
Right.
And
we could have pulled up 50 yards and may cut it off again.
Yeah,
because it was another field up the way.
Yeah,
but we didn't even take that in consideration. We did a bunch of goofy stuff, but it wasn't it wasn't like no brash ultrasound or infrasound type thing that everybody talks about. Our flashlights all were working, or they wouldn't. But the camera stayed on. We had just as much battery we would have had any other night when it was all over with. We went on. I tell you what we did. We went right on, never even stopped. We went right on by the buffaloes, and we looked at them things on all their fields. We went all around looking at all that on the black top road, the main trace. We went out another road, crossed the beaver pond, went in there till we just about got stuck, and we finally went back home. By then it was about 12 or so.
Yeah.
But we didn't quit going. I mean, just because we picked this up. I will say this, at all the riding we did, I think we seen one other vehicle. And I think that may have something to do with it too. Them people in that park don't move, or nobody's moving around that trace or anything. That's a good time for something else to move and not be seen. I know they see cars, and I know that you felt that way during the meet and greet, and we had all kind of people saying they're seeing things because they see them all the time. But these particular creatures might have used that to their advantage. I don't know. But it wasn't nobody stirring that night but a couple fools, couple truckloads of food, but that was it. And it wasn't. Another thing you want to say, if that was a poacher, did you see a gun?
No.
Did you see anything that was holding like a gun, or any kind of way to have a mannerism of a gun on it? I didn't.
No.
I couldn't pick out anything. A dark looking, signature would have been different from being, we've been holding no heat because it's metal, it's cold. But I didn't see any of that. In my recon, when I went out there, you can see this cell phone just like that in my hand in a better picture than what I just showed just a minute ago. You can see that in my hand, the squareness of it and everything. My ball cap you can see from that distance with the same thermal sitting on about the same power, except the weather was clear.
Yeah.
Down, it was a hot, muggy day instead of hot, rainy or cold, rainy day. That was the only difference. We thermaled out there at night. We thermaled out there during the day. Some people say, why didn't you go out there? Well, this dude could have went all the way across the trace. It could have went 10 foot over and hid somewhere else. You don't know. It would have been a bad day to walk up on many of them was there. I promise you.
Well, especially if, by God, it did have a baby of some kind with it.
It's a reason why that thing didn't break camp and leave, because it had all the chance in the world not even to be seen. We rounded the curve down yonder.
Yeah, there's another point I'd like to point out is I didn't know about all these other heat signatures or nothing until 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Right.
I'm paying attention to the main thing here, And then Joe and Pat pointed it out. I was like, wow, there is other heat signatures.
hey, the stepping out and squaring up, again, how many times have you heard people talk about they'll actually get a growl or get a branch break in front of them, they turn and look that way, and then they hear something behind them because the things are prone to distract you. I mean, Greg, I know you know what I'm talking about. The damn things will distract you if they get a chance.
Oh,
And there's a lot of speculation that they will go out of their way to distract you or even be confrontational if they have younger ones with them to give them an opening to go. Now, in this case, you can tell if you watch the video real close that whenever the one moves down to the other tree, and then a couple seconds later, you can kind of see those heat signatures slip off, like they all move off in different directions. But it's almost like that main one, it's like it knew you were looking at it, and it said, okay, watch me. And then while you were watching it, the other ones vamoosed.
Yeah, one interpretation I got, Spencer, was for everybody that don't deer hunt, a lot of times you'll have a couple young deer come out, and then the older doe come out. And if she spots you, either you take that doe or hunts over, because she'll stand there and square up when you. That's when that thing squared up on them. If it had youngins, I relate that to like an old mama doe. You know, youngins out there just grousing, brazen, and she, you know, comes ahead, she'll square up and she'll start stomping that foot and maybe even start blowing, you know. So you either take her or your hunt's over. I think when that thing might have squared up, it was like, hey, I know you can see me. That's far enough. You know, just a theory, not nothing for sure. So.
Joe, what were you saying before we got on here about it moved? Did you say it moved off into the wind?
I thought so. By going back looking at it, those trees, if you notice on them, that rain and all hitting them from one side, the other side of the trees are lit up from the heat.
Yeah.
And God knows it was cloudy for 2 or 3 days. It rained off and on for 2 or 3 days there. You wouldn't think them trees had any signature, but they did.
Yeah, they did.
Yeah.
And when we went out back then when it was hot during the day, the signatures on the trees was just the whole tree was standing out on every one of them, you know. And looked to me, the wind coming in, and they were heading into the wind. That's what it looked like. And you know, I don't know, but you know, just looking at animals, and most of my background ain't in cryptids. It's going to be in animals, not. And a lot of things I put forth, and when I'm telling y'all about this, it just don't make no logic for most known pack hunters. The wolves are different, but I don't have no background in the wolves because they hunt as a grown group. But coyotes are really good about one or two go out killing the thing, and then they call all the puppies, and that's when you're hearing them. And puppies are doing all that yipping and stuff, so they don't actually. A little one would be in the way during the hunt. The management of a little one would be, and I don't know about these creatures, you know, completely about just in my philosophy of it. I just don't think they were hunting like that unless they was gonna. One of them was gonna watch the little ones and keep them quiet while the other one stuck up on the deer and took a deer or something. It just didn't seem like they were hunting, and they were moving in the wind where they could hunt or could at least keep anything like our scent or something where they could catch it because they're cautiously moving. They're probably thinking every step what they're going to do, as opposed to us where we just take off doing some of the stuff we do. And we're such a creature of habit. They could easily never be in that spot again, or they could easily be caught there again. You never know. You know, it took us 60-something years to see this one. We ain't gonna be around to see another one if it takes that long. So it's not like we know no formal person of some kind of big time cryptid hunter. That's just BS, and we were just out in the right place at the right time.
Yeah, we got lucky.
I mean, that's luck's better than being good lots of times. Promise you. A lot of people tell stories, but this footage told its own story today.
Well,
we didn't have to hear it all.
There's a lot of stories about LBL, you know, that people, let's just say they might embellish or exaggerate a lot or a little on some of their stories from LBL. What were you saying, House?
Yeah, well, I was just going to ask Joe if y'all are going to try to reach out to anybody like MK Davis or like Thinker Thunker, some of these guys that really stabilize and break them down, and go frame by frame on the videos and try to enhance it. If y'all had anybody to look at it, like do
We
that.
haven't had any luck in doing that, and we were told also uh, these folks with the North American Dogman Project has done as much as anybody has for us to get this thing out there to where uh, a different media would see it. It's good to use our local people that we with all the time, and y'all deserve all the people in your chat deserve to see this because I'm afraid that this ain't the last of it. They could be actually they could be getting more of them. There might be more seen than ever. You don't know. We don't know what these things are going to be like. I feel like it's more boogers than it used to be, and it's more food for the boogers than it's ever been with all the hogs and whatnot. And I ain't sure that the next thing you see outside the man cave may not be a booger. You just don't know.
Uh,
I mean, the next thing you see deer hunting down there may not be a booger.
yeah, I thought about that too.
That I mean, we're going back. I'll tell y'all that we're going back in a few months, and uh, it's just a event. We're just going back to an event, but we're damn well going to be in the woods going. We're going to be looking. We're going to be thermaling. It's just what we're not going to sit up at the campfire every night to rah around. It's just
Well,
too much out there to do.
maybe I'm the only person that thinks about this, but like when y'all were watching that and y'all had this 16, 17 minutes of it, just think if some of the people that are out there that's looking, and like I don't have one, but what if you'd had a one of these little smaller drones that had the thermal and could have recorded with that. If you could have launched that drone right then and flew right to that thing or went up and over it, you could have tracked that thing around, possibly
Oh, yeah.
went down close to it. But there again, think about this. It's highly illegal to fly a drone over government property.
I didn't even think about that way but you're supposed to see things like this, like a flash, like Spencer seen the little thing at Creepy Mountain, just a little, and that's what you're supposed to see normally.
Yeah.
We just you would tote stuff to. I mean, you're not going to have it ready to go. It'd have to be a really. Oh hell, I mean, 16 minutes is just something. Seeing one at all is one thing. Seeing one for 16 minutes, and then it actually walking off, and us leaving simultaneously to one another. It was ready to go, but when I let off on the brake just a second, it heard it. It was gone. It was not fooling around. It was getting out of there. It didn't stay long enough. Whatever's nerves is shot, probably watching us, watching it, and it thinking, how the hell these people see me? Or whatever, or do they see all of us? But it's three different ones in there for sure that moves off. That two of them you really can't hardly see,
No.
and they're in there, but you just can't hardly see them. I mean, I can go back and show you that if we can slow it down and all that on a different deal. It's like I wish everybody that was at Holland's the other week that could have came down and looked at it, and a lot of people did, and a lot of people go back and tell you what they seen. That's in chat today. I even sit there and made them like look at this, look at it again, because you ain't gonna see this. You ain't really looking at it. It's just what I showed you. A lot of you guys, that was the most elementary way to even present it to anybody. You can't see all this stuff in that. But you have to sit down and look at it, and we find stuff every day. I found stuff today, really. So there's stuff in it going on. It just, I don't know. We're just people. A couple of us are retired. There's three of us in there. We're retired. We was able to go. We're gonna go again. Lord, good Lord willing, we'll be able to go again many times we want to, or we can, and go other places too. But once you get to other places, you still got to push yourself to get that, to go out there and put it in your mindset. You need to go. Don't take it for granted. Get out there in the elements. Just because you're sitting in the camp, there might be a way to get involved in stuff. But a lot of times you have to press the issue a little bit more than that.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and that's the point. You guys, you did you put all the work in, and you ended up getting beyond lucky with this. I hate to really just call it luck though, because it takes a
It
little.
is though. I think
It is, but it takes a little bit of understanding what you're doing and where you're going and how you're going about a little bit. But man, you guys, I mean, that's like a once in a lifetime kind of thing. Of course, as soon as I say that, you guys will go out 2 months from now and catch the damn thing
I
again.
bet. You don't want to bet on that, Spencer. Like I say, if I could have played the lottery that night, I might be sitting here. You'd have you might have Starlink on your deal instead of what you got. I just said bought it for you and sent it to you.
Kudos to y'all
Yeah.
for going back, and for everybody that watches this video, just so you understand, Joe and Pat live like 10 hours away from LBL, so they went back just to go over the steps, to go back to that area, to measure, get the distance, to look at it, to make sure that it was what they thought it was. But kudos to you for this too, for loyalty, for doing common sense things like not manipulating the video and just putting it out there and letting everybody make of it. The video with Jessica the other night, you guys were very much, you said several times, hey, we're putting it out here and letting people make up their own mind about it. Now, I mean, obviously on my show, I'm going to weigh in on my opinions of what I think it is. I wasn't there. You were there. Very admirable of y'all to throw this out there and let everybody look at it. And one more thing on that subject, you know how many damn people are in the Bigfoot world that will not share anything and won't show it to other people and won't put it out there because they're so terrified that somebody's going to steal it or something like that? I mean, y'all were smart. You went ahead and watermarked it and copyrighted it and everything. But still, though, a lot of people won't even share this stuff. And what we need is more people sharing the stuff so we can compare notes and get some relative information on this. All you've done is help the community by doing this. Much, much, much respect for you guys doing this the way that you did. Thank you.
Hey, Spencer, like that one thing when we went back to reenact it and all, I took my tape measure, and from where we thought it was standing and it stepped down in the creek or the bank or whatever, we measured that spot we think it was at, and it was at least 7.5 foot, at least. I took my tape measure and held it up to the tree, and we tried to estimate about where it was. So,
you're talking about where it was standing?
You got the
that's what I started calculating what we could do with it.
So I mean, so if it was a person, how many people 7.5 feet tall walking?
Right. I think that you can tell if you've got a sense for distance and size. I mean, I measure stuff all day long, so I'm used to looking at a tape measure and guessing how big something is. But I think you can tell from the video that it's a fairly large creature. Knowing that you measured it 7.5 feet, though, just adds to it.
That's what we guesstimated before. We've got to go back between 6 and 8, 6 and 7, somewhere in that, whatever. It was kind of like in that, it's taller than us, but yet it wasn't super big. And it might be because it's a female in it. But I tell you, whatever's in the backside of that thing is even bigger than it, whatever the heck it is. It's huge, whatever's cutting out across behind it.
Let y'all have one more peek at it moving. That's some impressive stuff right there, folks.
When you stop it right there, that little bitty white thing on the left-hand side of the main creature, it's moving too. So it's cutting across the screen, right, left to right.
See,
you can barely see it. So you can see it white. You can see it white right there coming by that tree.
Yep, right there.
And it's way bigger in the main subject that's going behind the tree. I don't know what the hell it is, but it's huge.
Right there, you can see it move.
Yep. And it's way bigger than that sucker that's our main subject. That sun gun is it's whatever it is, it's good size. It cuts at a 45 behind that big tree and goes on out of sight for the camera. It's no matter how much footage you got, we just had another little bit, we've been better, But
Yeah,
that's the way it is.
it can always be better. Watch
Yeah, if it'd be
watch
go ahead.
walk. Watch the steps, folks. Boom, 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 boom. Smooth.
And that big one's just now. If we could look at it real good, you could tell the gait of the big one, if it's got a straight-legged walk or not. The one going down the hill, you can't tell that. But the one going left to right, a professional could pull that out where you can tell if his legs straightened completely out or not. I don't know.
If you stabilized it, if you got it stabilized real good, like what they did with the Patty film, you could get a little bit more information out of it. I'm not really sure that you're going to get that much more out of it, even if it is stabilized. I mean, if you pay attention to it, you can tell that there are others there, or there are other heat signatures there. So let's assume that it's others there. Thank you, Larry. Appreciate that, brother. Thank you very much. But I mean, like that right there, folks, you got to answer for that. I mean, I don't know what you see in that, but I see the outline of something that looks humanoid, upright with pointy ears and probably a muzzle. And
you take Bama and Larry and Mark and the Beast. I mean the Outlaws and stuff that started going out there way before we did. I guess you owe a small part of that to even people wanting to go to them places and people reporting them places years ago. And a lot of people we didn't know that probably had just as much input, but we didn't know those folks. We only heard these tales from these other guys. And that's where they win every time. And that's what they did, this, that, and the other. We just the next little group trying to hang in there before we get too old to do the thing. And it's just I look at it that way. I don't look at if they'd have held on just a little bit longer, they might have been the one. You never know. You never know about such things. And a lot of them maybe never had something, never told us. You never know.
I mean, Kumbo back in the day, whenever he was with the Outlaws, I've heard them tell the story about trapping the one booger on the side of the road, separating it from the rest of the group, and it running down the road. They had a lot of stuff happen there at LBL. Obviously, LBL is known for the Beast of LBL and the bow hunter story, which I'd like to point out that Kumbo was the first one to tell that publicly. I don't know how it's gotten so crazy where it pisses me off. I don't know how it's gotten so crazy where everybody and their brother is documenting a story about the Beast of LBL. And I'm like, have you guys even talked to the man that talked to the patrol officers that were there for it? Kumbo was the one that brought that out to the public. But anyway, LBL is known. A lot of us have been there. We've caught so much stuff at LBL, everything from vocalizations, people having sightings, not that they all got to capture it on film or anything. I mean, the trackways that we found there, the creatures are there at LBL. But
we went to the North Woodland Center, I think that's what it's called. It's got a gray wolf, a red wolf, and so Pat goes to the counter. It's me and Bud, all of us. All the girls, all the boys, we all together. We go in that thing, look around. We out scouting around. We went up to the Marler home, then we went back through there one way or the other. And the lady says, "Oh yeah, we get people giving us dogman sighting reports all the time." I'm thinking, what kind of government employee would tell that? I wouldn't. I don't know about you guys. If I was wanting to keep, unless that's drawing people and they want to start using it to their advantage, I wouldn't have told that. I'm sorry, but I wouldn't have.
Well,
you would have
Joe,
thought that'd be.
Remember that old lady came driving by?
Oh yeah.
Was all interested in what we was doing. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What'd you tell them?
She told us that ain't no such thing as them two things there.
We
I don't
don't name
remember
around
how I
here.
said it. I said, you ever see something? I don't know how we put it. We mildly put some kind of question to
Yeah,
it.
ask her
Oh,
if
you
she ever
told
seen
no, there
anything
ain't no
weird.
such thing. But she's been there 60 years, she
Yeah.
claimed.
He said,
Driving
I've
the
been coming here
forest.
60 years. I ain't never seen nothing. Okay.
If she ain't looking.
She might turn into one at night. Who knows?
She's either lying or she ain't looking.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. That was really creepy too. That's another LBL 101. What the hell's going on with that deal?
I think she
Right.
I
was
tell
hitting
you, I
on
mean,
Joe. I think she was
when she
hitting on
got ready
Joe.
to drive off, I
Came out
said
of that truck.
they
If
always follow the creeps, is what I
if
told
we
her.
knew the truth, if we knew the truth about
Yeah.
LBL, I would be
Oh,
willing to bet that there is. I'm not big on the whole government conspiracy cover up thing, but I will
that was
tell you
another thing.
at LBL though, I think there has got to be something going on at LBL between law enforcement, the military, the government. I don't know. It's just too weird between the supposed what are they called? Dumbs, deep underground military
Does,
bases.
does, does that rock formation up there have enough those types of rock formations to do through underground caves and stuff where they got? I'm gonna just ask that question. There's a lot of rock formation there.
I've read mixed things of people talking about in the was it the 60s or 70s. I've seen several things of people talking about, yeah, I was an engineer and we made an underground tunnel under what is it, Kentucky Lake or Lake Barkley, whatever it was that goes from the other side on the Kentucky side over to the main part of LBL. I mean, I've heard stuff about that. I've heard stuff about people talking about back in the day, there definitely was underground storage areas there at LBL. And you have to ask yourself if it was government, and there are still, even right now, there's a couple places in LBL that is blocked off and has cameras right there at it. And you can't get back in there. If you try to go through there, I've seen people on the land between the lakes, like some of the Facebook pages, like the hunting or the hiking people talking, saying, hey, we got up to there next, as soon as we got to the gate, car rolls up and it's a park ranger saying, hey, you guys can't be back here. How would they know that? How would they know that you're there? There's a lot of weird stuff about the LBL thing. I mean, there just is.
Them
It's not.
people didn't even drive the roads enough to get that big tree out of the road. Bud and them went around. It was there for it was on the weekend, but I mean, it was there till the Sunday. I think we got ready to leave. They finally cut it out of the way. But we were running out that way leaving. I believe all of us did, but it was like they never got out and looked at the road. I mean, they were hunkered down. Them people there, though, they park employees. They ain't what you call no powerhouse workers or nothing. I wouldn't think.
Damn state workers.
I'm just saying, you go in that little old place, you buy ice and stuff, you ain't gonna raise the eyebrow except, why the hell did you come here type eyebrow? That's just the way it is.
You were in the right place, man. What a capture! What a capture! Y'all should be
Well,
very proud of that.
we
Well,
like Arnold. We'll be back.
I got something important, Joe. While y'all were there, did y'all go down into Dover and eat at the Dover Grill?
I've heard about
No,
that.
sir. We didn't get a chance to do that. We found
Come
another
on,
place for you to go try. We, when we went back and reconned it, we went to a mom and pop buffet bar in Aurora. It's across the bridge in the Midway Road, across the bridge, going west. And as soon as you cross the bridge, you go to the right. It's a little community back up in there, and they had a mom and pop,
Yeah.
uh, a mom and pop buffet bar, and it was reasonable, and they had good food there.
Well, look,
We went.
I'm gonna do my due diligence because, man, anybody that goes to the LBL, you have wasted your trip if you don't go down into Dover, Tennessee, and go to the Dover Grill. It's right there across from like their courthouse. Oh my gosh, the building's like 120 or 30 years old, and you go in the I don't know what the building used to be, but it's ancient. You go in this place, y'all. My God, it's like going back in time. And I'm talking about the food is unreal, and the prices. It's like I don't know how they even buy the food. I couldn't go to the store and buy the food for what they're selling it to me prepared. It's unreal, y'all. I mean, we when we go up there, we every day we're there, we eat at the Dover Grill. So look, I'm here's my homage to them is I'm telling everybody if you go to Dover, Tennessee, and don't go to the Dover Grill, you're missing out. So I'm just trying to send these folks some business.
What's
We
that?
have eat there though.
What's the restaurant
Oh.
on the Kentucky end that's got the like 1.5 inch thick pork chops?
We went to that dreaded place too,
Uh,
Spencer.
What's it called?
I can't
It's
remember.
called arm and a leg.
Yeah.
Is that what
It's called arm and a leg. That's what it takes to get in and out of it.
Yeah.
What
well,
is
I know
it?
that
It's
And if you
some
guys
woman's
go, don't
name.
get the pork chop.
Larry Porch is hell bent on going there and getting that pork chop.
Yeah, that's what
Well,
I got. Wood. It didn't live up to its
What does that say, Spencer? That's how much that costs. I
Shut
never eat
up.
that. One of them would cost that much.
Oh my
wow.
God, for a pork chop,
About 10 of you could have bought a good thermal.
Yeah.
right?
Y'all,
You could buy 15 of them the big ones is cry back at Walmart like
Yeah.
that. The old center cut.
man.
It was two people ordered the 1 inch pork chop there, whatever size it was, and neither one of them seemed to be that
I
happy
wasn't
with it.
impressed. Yeah.
I tell you what, we went up there to the Dover Grill and went and ate the lunch special, and it was like one meat, two vegetables, dessert, and a drink it was like $8 or $9, and y'all they had pork chops. Y'all talking about pork chops? They brought the pork chop out on its own platter. That pork chop was bigger than both my hands, and it's battered and fried, and the thing was about that thick. And I was like, oh my God. That's one of the only restaurants I've ever been to that I've seen a plate of food set down in front of Coonbo and he couldn't finish the plate.
You
I
didn't give
mean,
him enough time.
I
no,
think it's
y'all,
called Patty's, Spencer. Ain't short. That
Yeah.
place
I
up
think
there.
that's right.
It is.
I think it's called Patty's.
Yeah.
I
That's
think
it.
it is.
Up there at Grand Rivers or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever.
Yeah, that's it.
Every time I go, I'm going to camp, so I always bring my food. I don't go out. Larry goes and he's got to go to a restaurant, Mr.
Yeah, but Larry's going to eat and in camp and at the
Oh
restaurant.
yeah, oh yeah, no doubt. He'll stop on the way back and get a Snickers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. That place, it may have a good meal somewhere, but you ever been in there, Spencer?
No,
It's like a house. Got about two or three big tables is in each room, like you're going in somebody's bedroom, and then it's another one like that, and the whole thing's made like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we went in the wrong room. That's all I can
Pork chop.
figure. We went into the room cost. We should have went in the cheap room. They put us in the closet somewhere.
Yeah. I ordered a pork chop, and I even told the waitress, I said, "Hey, can you tell the chef to burn it on the edges for me a little bit? I'd rather have it more well done." And man, that thing was pretty much raw.
ugh.
But I ate
I
it.
wouldn't want a raw pork chop.
Yeah.
Shit, man. Everybody needs to go.
Everybody needs to go to LBL at some point. If you haven't been, if you're into this subject, you should definitely go to LBL. We got a few places that we go to that they're there. Man, thank you guys so much for.
I'm glad y'all turned us on to it, man. We've enjoyed it going up there, really.
I'm about ready to go
Y'all
back.
didn't had a bad trip.
Yeah,
I'm about ready to go back. I'll just be honest with you.
yeah.
Well,
So we're gonna have to. I don't know about. We'll talk. We'll discuss about a meet and greet again and when we're going to do that again. But we've got to get something going here this year. I've been cooped up at home too much, but
Y'all, I mean, I know I'm spoilt for compared to all three of y'all because for me it's from right here it's 205 miles. I can be there in 4 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, I know y'all got a long way to go.
oh yeah. Did they?
Well,
You could.
yeah, but you got them right. I mean, yeah, if you want to go to LBL, but not necessarily for booker. Good God, you in 1 hour you go to Kumbo's and y'all just hang out up there.
Well, here's the deal. I ain't ate nothing today, and y'all got me thinking about them pork chops at the Dover Grill. I'm not kidding.
In
I
4
would
hours,
get my
you could be up there.
if I could get Wanda to go with me and Abby, I'd probably drive up there and eat supper and come back home.
You are eat up with it, ain't you?
We've asked several times. What? You've asked what? Buster and Phyllis, what have y'all asked several times? I'm sorry. I have not been able to pay attention to the comments much today.
Patty's 1880 Settlement is a restaurant, Spencer.
There we go.
1880, that just get you in there eat a salad, 1880.
Okay. Well, I've ate there a couple of times. Kumbo likes to eat there at Patty's. And what I've ate there was good. But now, like you said, your billfold better be pretty thick when you walk in that place.
I don't think I could eat them candy bars over in the thrift shop. Then it's got that Cracker Barrel look on that other end. If you want to go over and dig around and stuff, you can go over and do that too.
But y'all, I'm telling you, look, one more time. Dover Grill. Check it out because it's unreal. The catfish is phenomenal. The pork chops, the steaks, whatever. And the portions, one plate of food will feed you two and a half meals.
We just had one of the greatest shows about like thermal evidence of what's probably a dog man. You get Greg started on the Dover Grill, and it's been 15 minutes now about the Dover.
I'm telling you,
about them quilt cutouts on all them windows and stuff in town. They didn't even talk about that. You know what I'm talking about, Greg? All them,
ain't that odd? All them buildings. They said that's supposed to ward off bad spirits.
Yeah,
we thought it might be some Civil War stuff left over. Like if you went in there, you were safe. If you went in the other one, you wasn't. I don't know. It's something people need to look at if they're up that way, though, because it's interesting.
Yep. Yeah. Look, y'all, I didn't build this manly physique by going hungry.
Right.
I'll take you over to Sonic, Spencer. We get a number 1, 2, or 3 or something while we over there. Let Greg go the other one.
That's fine. That's fine with me.
Yeah, it's an interesting place. It's got a vibe. If you ain't never been there, it seems like to me it has a vibe when you roll up in that thing. It might be because all the folklore people talking, but every time we've been there, we had something go on. The recon mission not so much, but going over there camping at the weekend and all, when he's over there, we had stompers around the RV. We had all kind of stuff. Everybody around us had stuff. The poor tent campers, they got run out of camp by daylight every day. Pat's talking about, I'm going to go talk to that one, so you better hurry up. That something's left about an hour ago.
Right.
That something's hell out of daylight. He was supposed to be there for the solar eclipse that weekend. Was a big solar sun eclipse, We stayed over for that. That's when we got to recon a bunch of that stuff around where we was at over there. And hell, I think we're leaving out of there, coming and going. At daylight, they was gone. I don't know what the hell was stomping around their stuff, but they didn't fool around. And Barry Browning had a little incident while he was over there too. We didn't know about, so we talked about that too. And everybody in there had a little something to tell about that place. Then y'all had something. I started to wear mine backwards in your behalf, Greg House.
If I can get it out here. Look, I just ordered a bunch more. We're going to try to get them to where we can do a link on them.
Hey, Spencer, I told Wanda, it's a damn shame y'all got into panhandling now, damn T-shirts.
Okay.
Panhandling
T-shirts now. It's got so bad. I'll do it for Abby's college fund. That's all the way I'm going to do it.
Oh, my God. Yeah,
we contributed to Abby's college fund. We done it.
Hey, look here. They're pretty comfortable shirts. They're pretty nice shirts.
They're really great. They're really great. Put cloth in them. They really are.
Yeah. Yep. So, but yeah, I'm gonna try to do something. I got to get. Look, I'm a low tech redneck. I got to get it fixed up where we can do PayPal or Venmo or something.
Your side's about that big, Spencer. It made your side about this big.
Very funny.
I'm just saying, it's like mine. It's about that big. His side's like that big. There he is.
Whatever it is.
I'd hate to have
Yeah.
that thing looking in my damn RV window. Is all I'm saying.
Yeah. Be a bad day.
If it was 7.5 feet tall, it'd walk right up and stare you in the eye through the window.
That damn tall RV, it has to be a pretty good one to look up in there. I have to look up to look in the window. Of course, scare the hell out of Pat every time.
Where were you at whenever y'all were camping and you were in the RV and something was rocking the RV? Where were
That
you
was in
at?
Red Dirt. That was out here in Red Dirt, in Louisiana, over here by the house, in Coosatchee National Forest. That was our first experience of really something's out there, and they capable of doing more than what we want to do with them. But we
Yeah.
had stuff all weekend, but they got a little reckless there that Saturday night. I think it was. We had some experiences over the years. We're some unlucky old farts, I guess. But when we out there, usually something happens, or we'll a lot of times we miss on stuff too. But we do have a lot of stuff happening. Audio wise, you don't have that much video.
Yeah. Well,
That's just normal.
the video is hard to come by. I mean, right place.
That's what people don't
right time,
realize.
right
This is like a one in a lifetime catch.
it is.
You know,
Joe,
it just
you see why I refer to it. It'd be like walking around with a camera and trying to be ready and catch somebody at the very instant they sneeze. That's about what it's like. It'd be
I
like
seem
you
like
walk around, you're just out of the blue. You're going to catch somebody sneezing, and you're walking around with a camera your whole life and trying to
mhm.
get it ready and take a picture the minute they sneeze. That's about what it's like.
Yep. And your thermal, I mean, your drone idea, or drone, I mean, that's what I'm trying to say. Your drone idea would be good, but it's like, what do you put in your truck, leave it there all the time for just in case? It's the same thing,
Yeah.
You would never, if you had the opportunity, it would never stand around there time for you to go get it. It's kind of like the big dip net and catching a big fish. You bring the nets, you never catch a big one. You don't
Yeah.
have
Well,
that, that's when something's gonna come out or
I'll tell you
catch.
what. Some of my buddies was here in Alabama, and they weren't here at Bankhead, but they were at another place in Alabama, and it was federal land, and they were just not. They wasn't really off roading. They was just like what it was. It was a Jeep club, a club, cult, whatever you want to call it. The Jeepers. Anyway,
Come
anyway, and I've got a Jeep, but I'm not. I don't know the handshake. I don't have the membership card or nothing. I've got a Jeep, but anyway, they was about 20 something Jeeps had met up, and they were just riding like the gravel roads. Well, they were posting pictures online to their club and showing where they were at and where they were riding and the scenery and stuff. And one of the guys that was in the group had a drone, and he had like flown it up. And as they were driving, they got the drone in the air filming the line of Jeeps going down these gravel roads. And golly, y'all, within just like 24 or 48 hours, there were people getting contacted like, we're fixing to light y'all up. People's fixing to get fines. You can't fly a drone over this government property. And all they were doing was it was very obvious. They were just filming their convoy of Jeeps. And yeah, they just being on the internet, they had done tracked down. They knew, like, I guess that where they filmed and they had posted all their stuff. They had went and like researched and found a bunch of these people and contacted them. And I'm talking about they got threatened big time.
Yep. Riding up down them gas lines and high lines and stuff, a lot of them companies don't want you doing that either. And that's where a lot of your damn Jeep rides and four-wheeler rides go to.
Yeah.
Riding up down gas lines, things like that. And a lot of deer lease people get fired up too when they run across them and they've been private land everywhere and they just cutting right on across all of it.
Mm-hmm. But they sure did. They tracked them down, and there was several of them guys in that group that got scolded by, Uncle Slammy. They got threatened with all kind of stuff because they told them, no ifs, ands, or buts. You better not be flying a drone over government land.
I would suggest if you're out on government land and you riding around at night like we do, I wouldn't go unprepared for a crackhead or something like that to show up, or just anybody having a bad day to show up at your doorstep. And for all the people here, you might be anti-gun people, you might not be, but I'd rather have an ounce of prevention and a whole bunch of care at the end of the day. And just
Well,
backing
Joe,
somebody off of you with the not knowing whether you're gonna turn it loose or not might save your life. Now, nobody in the government can, how to say this, nobody in the government can't promise you ain't gonna get in the bind out there. Now, I know you can go to Walmart and get one too, but I just think of putting myself out there. I'm not gonna put her at risk either.
well,
If
see,
I
Joe,
can do something about it.
back several years ago, the Forestry Service, they had it to where they were running roughshod over people and saying, it's got to be the only weapon you could have. It had to be, like you had to have a hunting license, and it had to be a weapon that could be used to hunt for that time of year. Now, I'm not talking about at night. I'm talking about just being in the woods. They would frown on you here, and I know people that got in a lot of trouble because they were armed, and they said, well, you couldn't be armed. Well, then back around, I'd have to look it back up, but I'm going to guess probably 2018, 2017, somewhere in there. There was some people took them to court, and it went all the way to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court ruled on it that no, you're violating people's Second Amendment rights. And they were like, well, they're on government property, and they said, yeah, but it's public property, and you're telling people you got to be unarmed, and you're over here in the middle of nowhere where there's no law enforcement. There's no you're your own defense, and that all got struck down. The Supreme Court ruled that no, the Second Amendment applied on federal property, like in the forest, because that's where you're really probably going to need that weapon to protect yourself. And look, I'll tell you this: a lot of those, like LBL, I looked it up before we went the last trip to LBL just to see what it had on their website, because you can look up the Forestry Service, the LBL's website. In whatever year that the Supreme Court ruled on that and made it legal for you to be armed, they had not updated from that point till like a year ago or whatever. It was still, everything was pre the civil or the Supreme Court ruling on it. It was, you could find it up to that year, but when the Supreme Court ruled and said, "Oh no, y'all are wrong," they never updated. Any information that you could find was from their back. And what it is they still want people under the impression that you're breaking the law. Does that make sense? They didn't say, "Oh, we were wrong, y'all can do it." They still have got it on their website. So it's kind of like spreading false information. They're not spreading it, but if you go look, it don't say yes, it's legal. You got to dig way deeper into it. But yeah, that's what I had a lot of people ask me, because I do law enforcement here in Alabama, and I said, well, I know for a fact that it changed in Alabama, and it had to change there because it's still federal property. It didn't matter what state it was in. So, that used to be a big thing here, because there was a lot of people here got in trouble for being armed when it wasn't hunting season or whatever. And they would tell you straight up, you can't have a loaded weapon. You can't be walking around in the woods. But all that mustered up to a head, and that went all the way to the Supreme Court. So
It's
that's
nothing to be
my
out for
take on
midnight or
it.
after when you're running thermals.
Yeah.
The higher it gets, the better off you are past midnight. And what you run up on, you don't know. Like Bankhead could be between Birmingham and Nashville or Memphis or somewhere. And that might be somebody's drop off point for drug deal. You don't know that when you cruise in those places. Our place ran into that coming from Houston. They figured out they was making drops in the national forest in Houston, from New Houston to wherever it was coming, but they would drop it off in our national forest, and they finally put patrols out there and started catching them. it was a weird situation, but that's the kind of thing you can run up in on and not know about it, and you not be in a good place at night, or just anything. We run up on campers and stuff. They just. But you got to go if you're going to be thermal at night. If you got to ride the roads or get out and do whatever you're going to do. I'd love to. Me and Bud talked about renting a barge and going, just like cruise LBL around that peninsula. I know it take forever in a day, but I mean, just thermal, take a barge or something like that with everybody on there, just chill and just cruise and thermal them banks. You're probably going to run into some good signatures along the way without having to go through. It'd be a little bit different, Spencer, on the reconning that place by doing it that way, because they're not getting that many people coming from the water to them. Most of the time you hear them turn off the blacktop, they hiding before you ever get there.
Yeah, but where do we typically find the trackways at LBL? You know where it is, and it's always right along the water. I'll tell you what, if they probably have it. It's just too expensive for any normal person to afford.
Right, and too windy too.
If we could get some high-end thermal where you're talking about that you could see, like I know what your Rattler looks like. I've got a fairly decent thermal. If we could get something where you could see as clear as that, but like, let's say from 1,500 yards away, where we could actually be on one side, like out on a boat or on a barge or one side of the lake and looking across at the other, man, the right time of year, there ain't no telling what you could catch with that. You're liable to see them come out of the woods and go down to the edge of the lake and a whole family and everything. But
right. I mean, me and Bud talked about that, whether you could find a rental or not. No, and I know they rent stuff, but that would take a lot of pre-planning and good weather, because that wind on that lake is just horrible most of the time.
Well, I mean, plus you're talking about renting something where you're renting it for. I know I talked to Carrie about it at one point. You're renting it for $250, $300 a day. Well, what if you go out there for the couple days that you planned and you don't catch anything with it? There goes $500-$600. It's not like you go, well, I'll just come back next weekend. Most of us are driving to places like LBL. It's a long trip. You just.
It'd be a big risk. Risk for reward type thing.
It'd be a big expense to try and do it.
We just charge the woodwalkers. Let the tab go to them.
We'll put it on the corporate account.
Yeah, just give us a card, we can do it.
Hey, look, they may be somebody that watches this podcast that lives there close that's got a pontoon boat.
I mean, if the guy brings you out here to catch white perch, he don't care if he rides by the bank at night. I don't guess.
Probably not.
Maybe you get a mess of fish too. I don't know.
My sincerest hope is that some rich multi-million-dollar philanthropist stumbles across our stupid ass show, and at some point goes, you know what? I'm a fund these jackasses. I'm gonna give them the money and let's see what they can do.
It wouldn't be the same. We didn't just struggle along like we are.
No,
it wouldn't be the same.
Well, guys, thank you for being on here. Thank you for everything. Thank you for allowing us to get to see a little bit more of the video and everything. Thanks for talking about it. Greatly appreciate the contribution. Just like putting it out there the way you did. Very, very, very proud of y'all for that. Glad to know y'all. Thank you for doing the show. Thank you for
we're still part of the bunch, with for the little people, let's just say. We're just here for the little people. We're part of the little people. We are the little people. I know, I mean, where you ain't got to be people in subscribers and all that mess. But I just thought it'd be, I'm sorry it took so long, and man, it really was over our head when we got a host of this thing. It wasn't supposed to happen to us. It was supposed to, that's something that don't happen to regular people. The only thing people don't realize, everybody's regular at this. It's just somebody can parlay a foot track and somebody can't, and somebody parlays one Yale that was done on a mountainside and out west, and now they on every travel show there is. It's just whoever wants to make something big out of it.
Yeah.
I'm just glad it was real
Somebody?
people doing it. You know, because I mean, we all know each other. We've all been around each other and everything. It makes a difference when somebody that you know is like, holy cow, I caught this, and you can actually look at it and discern. Yeah,
It could be somebody you don't even know, but you could call me any day and ask me something about this if it would help you. You know,
Yeah.
you could.
I think it's great. Thank you for sharing it with us, everybody. I think we have a show next Sunday. I got to double check on the guests, but anyway, hope y'all enjoyed that. That's some impressive stuff. You want to do something for the Bigfoot community? Share this show so that people get to see that footage. I don't even care about the subscriptions or the views for the channel. I want everybody in the Bigfoot world to be able to lay eyes on that and actually try to learn something from the way that thing moved.
Well, we're gonna be maneuvering around, you know, different people, different areas. Hopefully, if we need bail money, is any of y'all gonna help us?
Yeah,
they come after us. They're gonna have a lot of venues to take this footage up now. Since the more you spread it out and everything, it's gonna be hard to hide it. The longer we go, the better off we'll be, I guess.
Yeah.
If we go to jail now, we're gonna need somebody to bail us out.
I got you. We'll take it out. We'll take it out of the Woodwalkers T-shirt fund.
We'll get you a cake with a file.
No, any of that'll work. We'll probably need it. Well, it's gonna be so deep and limp. We'll find out whether something under the caves at LBL we get caught. So
right.
We'll be taking pictures or something. There's got to be some kind of ruling against that.
Yeah.
Just disturbing the cryptids, you know, or something.
Disturbing the cryptids.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just like
we don't know. They could have been out. Somebody might have turned them out that night. We just didn't know because the weather was bad. Nobody was out. They're just gonna let them get out and do some exercise. I don't know.
Let them stretch their legs.
Mm-hmm. All I can say,
it's kind of like letting the dogs out. You got to get up in the morning and let
just call Troy Allen. If you ever have any doubts about it, call Troy Allen. He'll line you out on all this. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, he can do it.
Troy, he's got a brain and he could tell you some good stuff. Call Troy. He's got a philosophy, is what I'm trying to say about everything.
Troy's got information. It's just, it takes a while to process everything he's got.
I know Troy just having a rough time right now. Anyway, people in the chat need to know about Ray if they will put that out there. That's something wouldn't be bad.
Yeah,
definitely.
Y'all. So thoughts and prayers for her.
Yep. We love Ray. But Ray, get your ass up better soon. Don't be hanging out in them damn hospitals.
All right, y'all. Thank you for doing the show. Everybody in the chat, appreciate it. Love y'all. Take care. See you next time.
All right.
Love.
Oh, man, look. On the computer, you have to hit okay. Anyway.
Just turn me on, turn me up, and turn me loose.